gentlewoman from Wyoming, Ms. Hageman, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Greenblatt, as allegations of politicization of SIGI continue, I am concerned about whether appropriate standards of due process are in place to ensure that IGs and employees of IG offices are not unfairly targeted for just doing their jobs. SIGI's Integrity Committee, or IC, investigates wrongdoing by IGs or their staff. Is that correct?
Yes.
And is it Kimberly A. Howell who is currently the chair of the IC?
Correct.
And Kimberly Howell is not an employee of the federal government, is she?
She is an IG of what's called a designated federal entity.
I get that. She is not an employee of the federal government, is she?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Can the president or anyone in the executive branch fire Ms. Howell or any head of the IC?
The president could remove the head of the CBP, where she is the inspector general.
Okay, but the president does not interact with or fire the head of the IC, correct?
Well,
and you've already testified that you don't have any oversight, and you do not oversee Ms. Howell. Isn't that also correct?
I can remove them from the Integrity Committee.
Okay. Well, just over a month ago, the IC delivered a report to the President and Congress with findings of abuse of authority regarding the Social Security Administration's Inspector General. And Ms. Howell sent and signed this report to its recipients. Were you aware of that?
Yes, ma'am.
An IC report delivered to the president or an agency head then can recommend or result in disciplinary action against an IG or a person working inside an IG office, leading all the way up to termination. Is that correct?
It can recommend that, yes.
Okay, and doesn't that mean that the leadership of SIGI could use the IC to undo the presidential appointment and Senate confirmation of executive officials by individuals that were never nominated and which are actually not even federal employees?
No, I don't agree with that statement at all.
Okay. When the IC asks an IG or an employee of an IG office to respond to an allegation to avoid a full investigation, the respondent must fully refute the allegation such that no reasonable person would conclude that further development would demonstrate that the respondent committed the misconduct. In other words, when they come under investigation, they are the ones that carry the burden of proof with a very high standard for exoneration. Why is this different than American civil and criminal proceedings where the burden of proof is on the accusing party rather than on the accused?
No, that's not a fair representation of what happens in an investigation.
Then explain it to me.
So when a complaint comes in and the Integrity Committee determines that it is opening a case, it generally refers the complaint to the subject or subjects plural and says, here are the allegations.
Refute them.
You have an opportunity to refute them.
And the burden of proof is that they have to prove that the allegation is such that no reasonable person would conclude that further development would demonstrate that the respondent committed the misconduct. Isn't that the standard?
I believe that sounds accurate, but the whole point is that it doesn't, the Integrity Committee wouldn't have to do that step at all. That's a courtesy. That's an extra step.
I would tend to disagree with that, representation.
You can disagree, but that's an extra step that they add to help the subjects. So it's not
placing the burden of proof on them.
It's being perverted. This is like looking through a funhouse mirror. This is not an accurate portrayal of what's actually happening in the process. This is an opportunity for the subjects, and the Integrity Committee over and over again takes those responses.
So in other words, what
kills
you're
complaints.
saying,
let me finish my answer. Kills complaints and doesn't get to investigations.
Excuse me?
I'm trying to finish my answer.
I'm going to reclaim my time and ask the questions.
Our witness needs to understand that the gentlewoman controls the time, and I do recognize that you would like the opportunity